You know you're cool when your entire camera roll is screenshots of court cases. Since Friday, we have had 3 major legal updates in our court cases regarding redistricting and our congressional maps. So let's go through each of the cases and talk about what they mean and then what's actually going to happen with our congressional maps in the election this year. So on Friday, we got a ruling from the state Supreme Court in response to something that the legislature filed. So the legislature appealed to the Supreme Court, asking them to block the map that would be in place for the 2026 election. And the Supreme Court rejected the entire case based on procedure, not based on the merit of the case. What they say here is the legislature had an opportunity to appeal the case and they didn't take it. And then they say again, 30 days to appeal the case, and they didn't do it. So once again, the Utah Supreme Court delivering a legal fuck you to the Utah legislature. So that was Friday. By Saturday, we have a new case that was filed in the 3rd Judicial District against the legislature once again, but this one is about HB 392, the bill that was initially creating a constitutional court and now creates this 3-judge panel that the legislature can call up at any time to hear the cases that they want to be heard. So the League of Women Voters and Mormon Women for Ethical Government sued again, saying that this law that they just passed is unconstitutional. So what the League of Women Voters and Mormon Women for Ethical Government are saying here is that the bill that they passed that is for the government litigants, aka the legislature, and only the legislature, to decide whether or not they want that case to be in front of a single district judge or this panel of 3 judges, and that's only up to the discretion of the governor, attorney general, or the legislature. And so if the legislature dislikes the judge that they have a case in front of, they can just move it to this panel, and then they can reassign and challenge any of the new panel's judges. They even quote here in the case that Stuart Adams and Speaker Mike Schultz and Rep. Candace Perucci all have opined about the one elected judge in the ruling that she issued around redistricting. And now the legislature wants to move the redistricting case, Utah's abortion ban case, and Utah's sports ban case, and multiple other cases to this new panel of 3 judges that they just created. So they've asked the court to make a determination if HB 392 and SJR 5 violate the Utah Constitution, and if so, then that law won't take effect. So we'll have to wait and see on how the judge rules on this case and whether or not then that gets appealed to the Supreme Court, but we could see this law not take effect this year if that is the case. And then last but not least, today, Monday, we got a ruling from the 3-judge panel that was convened in the federal case that you might remember that Representative Celeste Malloy and Burgess Owens filed in federal court. This was a Hail Mary pass by the congressional representatives to say that the judge was violating U.S. election code by implementing this map. Now, this 3-judge panel comprised of 3 federal judges, 2 of which were appointed by Republican presidents, George Bush and Donald Trump, and 1 was appointed by Barack Obama. This panel decided unanimously to deny Representative Malloy and Burgess Owens' claims. A lot of the legal argument around this case rests on precedent from a previous case that they refer to as Purcell. And that basically says that this election is far too close to happening to make any changes right now, or that would cause a lot of chaos in the voting process. And so they say, due to the risk of voter confusion and reduced election participation, that with this active primary already ongoing, that it is too close for them to make a decision or to get involved in this map. They do add in a little treat here at the end that says that even if they were to look at the merits, they don't think that this case would be successful because they don't think that the judge overstepped by creating a map in the first place. So this was kind of the last attempt by the legislature to try and appeal this map before the election this year, and they've lost almost every single case that they've put in front of a judge. This map that creates a competitive Democratic district in Salt Lake County will be law and will be in place for the election in November. So the only thing that the legislature and the Utah Republican Party has left is their repeal effort of Prop 4. So they have been collecting signatures. They have turned in the signatures that they say is enough to make it on the ballot this year, but we still have 45 days for people to remove their signatures if for some reason they were tricked into signing or they didn't mean to sign. And so if you would like to get involved with that effort, you should go to protectutahvoters.com. You can also go to the Brave Utahns Rapid Response Network, BURN. They also have resources to look up to see if your name is on the petition, which you should check regularly just in case if your information is publicly accessible, because we have seen some instances of fraud. And so there's still plenty of time to see whether or not the Utah GOP is actually going to meet the thresholds that they require in the geographic Senate districts where they had to collect signatures. So we should keep our eye on that. But in the meantime, we can celebrate another giant L for the Utah legislature against the courts.